Guys of a Certain Age is brought to you by no one. Absolutely no one. Except these dudes walking down memory lane. Now let's head to the studio to see what they misremember next.
And we're back. It's two guys of a certain age, along with an undisclosed aged lady. Robbie Copeland's in studio alongside
Art Shirley.
And
Paige Hunt, who will fully disclose her 46 years on this earth. I've earned every one of them.
You are so much younger than the rest of us.
Yes.
I mean, I know.
I mean, way younger.
I play my odds right.
And way shorter than the rest.
Way shorter. Way shorter.
So are there any rides at Disney you're not allowed to go on because of your height?
Okay, so I don't like roller coasters, and it's because I was not tall enough to ride a roller coaster until I was a senior in high school. I'm 4'10" and a half, listeners, and I was 4'8" up until my senior year of high school, and you can't ride a roller coaster.
And then you got that growth spurt.
Right, you got that little growth spurt, not quite to 5 feet.
Yeah. Steroids.
And so by then you've developed rational fear.
Right.
And so we were on a choir trip to Six Flags over Dallas, and I got on the Great American Scream Machine, and I got off and was like, yep, nope, done with that.
Yeah.
I don't do roller coasters either.
I used to. Now, I used to do them all the time. I don't like them as much anymore. I did like the Great American Scream Machine. I remember that one. But the ones that are...
No, I'm more of a give me rides that go round and round.
Yeah.
Give me the tilt-a-whirl at the fair. I don't like heights, and I don't like going real fast.
And I like the Disney stuff, like the Hall of Presidents, that kind of stuff, Country Bear Jamboree.
Did you ever do the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror?
Yeah.
Either one of you?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I've
done that a few times, yeah.
Full stop, no.
Yeah.
Full stop, no.
All right.
I'm too close to the ground to not be afraid of heights.
But your legs are just long enough to reach the ground.
I mean, just quite, I like to say I'm not short, I'm fun size.
That's what Bonnie says.
Right.
So, all right, so Paige, give us your introduction. I mean, give us your what do you do? Who are you? Why are you here?
Okay, well, I am the director of tourism for the greatest city in the whole wide world, Starkville, Mississippi's college town. I've been in the role for about 3.5 years. I've been in tourism for more than 20. And basically, I'm here because for a brief moment in time, Art and I worked together. And of course, Robbie, I've known you for years. Forever. And I knew y'all had this podcast, and I'm not a guy, and I'm not of a certain age. And I was like, y'all need to up your content and bring on a woman to talk about the greatest film ever made.
Which almost 300 episodes in, we're finally taking her advice.
You're 300 episodes in, you're finally letting some estrogen into the room, and I really anticipate listenership just skyrocketing.
From 2 to 3.
Right.
I know, that's right.
Or 3 to 4. And our wives don't listen.
Well, they're
Occasionally
smart.
they do. Yeah.
I mean, but I think Bonnie's listened to 2 episodes, maybe, out of
said
almost
she's going to
300.
listen to the episode about me, but she hasn't listened to it yet. So
Yeah, well, she should know everything about you.
Well, she may be surprised.
Y'all should, but I mean, the listeners, I'm sure, know that you both outkicked your coverage.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
So I wouldn't question Bonnie or Becky's motivation.
There you go. There you go. Well, but as my wife is fond to say, they are not our target demographic.
That's right.
No, neither am I.
But I'm sure they may listen to this episode.
They may or may not. I don't know.
I think they will.
I
I think Becky will.
You'll get some female listeners.
I think Melissa listens. And Jay's mom is certainly our probably most devoted listener.
Hello, Mrs. Reed.
Hello, Mrs. Reed.
Hello, Mrs. Reed.
So the 2 episodes prior to this, I think as they fall out, if I remember correctly, we had a buddy of mine by the name of Jim Biddle on. Jim teaches communication at the University of Georgia at the Grady School, but he was on Remote Control on MTV, the game show.
No.
And he actually won it. And so we did a 2-part 2 episode about him being
the
on
front
remote.
door. Okay, so now I might go listen to that.
That's a lot of fun.
I might too. I don't usually listen to it.
That show, how good was that show?
Oh,
yeah,
we
love that show.
Yeah.
I mean,
Kenny wasn't like the other kids.
Yeah, that's right.
Remote control. So, but yeah, Jim's he's an editor, writer, producer. I've known him for years professionally, and it's like, why do you not lead? Why do you not put that on the top of your resume that you won remote control?
Really?
Well, I will say I get chastised a lot for not putting on top of my resume that I was an extra in The Help. You know,
That's right. Yeah, I remember that now.
So it just goes, you know, it just goes. But you've done it. You've like marked it to do. You know,
did you see the CBS News story with Taylor?
Yes, Tate Taylor.
Tate Taylor. Yeah.
Tate's done so much for filmmaking in Mississippi. I was the tourism director when The Help filmed in Greenwood, so I kind of had an in.
Yeah.
So that's how I got in. And Tate has done wonders for the film industry in Mississippi. He really has.
What he's done in Natchez has been pretty incredible.
He and his producing partner John Norris.
Yeah.
Right.
So if y'all aren't watching right now, their latest project is Palm Royale on Apple TV.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
We did watch that. I saw that. We enjoyed that. That was good.
I'm halfway through. So.
I need to hit that. So, all right, we're gonna be somewhat traditional. Do some Geeks of the Week. Paige is exempted from that. Then we're gonna talk Steel Magnolias and a few other things in the second half. Art, what do you got for a geek?
We've got some software kind of announcement. Adobe kind of screwed the pooch, as they say in the NASA world.
Thank you, Adobe.
By asking, updating their terms of agreement to include now allowing the users to just kind of let us have whatever you've been working on, so we can use it possibly for AI purposes.
Really?
Yeah.
Basically, what they said, Paige, was anything you upload to the Adobe servers through Creative Cloud, because
which is everything.
Well, each Creative Cloud user, I think, has 100 gigs.
Right.
Plus, they own Frame.io, which is the web approval software that they paid like $2 billion for. Basically, they put a blanket statement in there and said, anything you upload to our servers, we have a right to look at. And so the speculation was, are they going to be training their AI servers on users' images?
Yeah.
So, because,
and of course, the big fear is that at some point they might actually use some of the material to create some of the generative fill things and do some of the AI stuff. So.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, doesn't AI tend to want to gather more and more information so that they can be better?
So there's machine learning which they do that with, but the problem most creative people have, artist people that produce either writing, video, images, whatever it is, these Chat GPT, these other things are going out and pulling those as resources and modifying them. So it's like you don't have rights to your own, you don't have a copyright on your own material anymore because it can be used for anything.
It's crazy.
I mean, are you using generative fill much when you do Photoshop?
I will use it. I've tried it a couple of times if there's something that we need, like a little more headroom or something, and do that. And it still never quite works like the demo shows you, right? It's like it still will do some real weird stuff, but it's better. I mean, it gets better every time, but
I talked to a photographer last week, and he talked about how much AI in Lightroom helped him so much when he's prepping raw images.
Yeah, he's using it for procedural stuff, though, right?
Yeah, and a little bit of touch-up as well.
But is it generative fill, or is it basically just kind of learning?
I'm not exactly sure what all
I bet he's making changes to color correction and contrast, but and kind of getting AI to learn, what's going on with this batch of photos and applying it across the board.
It's crazy.
But yeah, we'll have some images that, were either too wide or, for the thing. So you have to go through and add, height to it. And it just doesn't quite work. Not quite there yet, but close. Close.
Adobe has crawfished back a little bit to try to say, "Oh, we're not going to steal your stuff."
Well, of course they have.
But
it's amazing when their actions have consequences.
Yeah. Well, and we were talking about this yesterday. Adobe is a lot like Microsoft was at the height of Windows. They were.
That's a really great comparison, actually.
900-pound gorilla that that nobody can
the monolith
take on.
Yeah.
We were talking at lunch about a few of the things that we could. Affinity has got a couple of programs that could challenge Adobe for Photoshop and InDesign and whatnot.
For most freelancers, especially if you can produce a PDF that you can print from, that may be all they need. Certainly folks right out of college that can't afford Adobe's subscription anymore once the university discount is gone.
Yeah.
But so it may be a challenger to it. And also WWDC was yesterday.
What would David cook. I don't know. Yeah, no. Worldwide Developer Conference.
Yeah,
Apple's
Apple,
WWDC.
WWDC is what would Dolly do, and that's really all we need in life. That's all we need in life.
Speaking of artificial, but
look, just ask her. She'll tell you she paid.
That's right.
She paid for it.
They're hers. She paid for it. That's right. It costs a lot to look this cheap.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mrs. Reed. So.
But anyway, most of the announcements they had were on new operating system updates, either the phone, the watch, iPad, or the operating system for Macs, and they all include some type of
what they call
artificial intelligence, what they call Apple intelligence, because you got to brand it, right?
Yeah.
that may be like just too much of a parody-rich kind of term there for them. Like, oh, this is truly Apple intelligence. It doesn't work anymore. Siri doesn't understand me.
And as we are recording this, Apple stock is set an all-time high. It's at $204 a share.
Wow.
5 days ago, it was $195, so it's been up 5%, and that hit after the WWDC.
Yeah,
Forrest Gump's still banking it, man.
That's right.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? So, but Apple, I mean, folks were wondering what they were going to do with an AI component, and so Microsoft is down 7%. I mean, 0.07%. Sorry, but anyway, did you see anything yesterday at WWDC that was
that I had to have?
Yeah.
No.
So Art and I went to lunch yesterday. It used to be back in the day when there was an Apple announcement, he and I would grab lunch and sit and watch it.
Yeah.
Guys of a certain age.
Oh, yeah, and watch it, or either watch it when they would broadcast it, or not broadcast it.
Yeah,
when they would stream it.
Yeah.
Or if you couldn't do that, you at least you'd find a thing that was giving you up to minute
Right,
updates.
right.
Yeah.
Like what was being released.
And now.
Yeah, now you wait and see what they said and go, okay.
Apple's just making they're so mad that I still have my 11. It is on its last leg.
Your phone, your 11, yeah.
Oh, me too. That's what I have too.
I mean, I'm holding on for dear life. She's heating up. She's not holding the charge. I mean, I know what they're doing.
That's it, exactly, yeah.
Well, I will tell, I've got, what's the latest? Is it 15? Yeah,
15, and most of the stuff that they announced yesterday will only work on a 15 and whatever comes out next.
I love my 15 Pro Max, but I can take photos that rival my Canon R5. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Yeah, the photos on the 15. I mean, they announced the 12 or whatever. I didn't really notice it, but noticing photos taken on a 15 versus an 11, which we did this week. I had my phone and a friend had hers, and we both took the same picture, and the difference was
amazing,
stark. Yeah. I mean, you could tell.
I did Mark was in studio, shot him with I think my 13,
yeah,
and it ended up on a magazine cover, a locally.
So I guess they'll have a new phone coming out in the fall.
Yeah. Probably would.
Yeah. So that may be when I do the 15.
Yeah,
and be like one model back.
I'm smart.
Yeah,
it's like buying the leased vehicle off the lot.
Yeah,
it's been turned back in.
He's so bright, his mama calls him son.
That's right.
Have you never heard that before?
No. How have I not heard that?
Apparently, you haven't listened to the show.
Well,
she's not the target demographic.
Right. No, I'm not. But I do have a son, so
there you go. You can use that. You can train him with that.
I can train my 11-year-old with that.
Yeah, so bright. Your mama calls you son.
Speaking of AI, y'all, I know y'all don't have kids in this age anymore, but I do have an 11-year-old. Oh, it's fun. We do Friday movie night, and this movie came out on Netflix a couple of years ago. It's an animated movie called Mitchells versus the Machines, and I highly recommend a watch because it's kind of a parody on what happens if the machines, AI, take over the world.
Oh, okay.
It's really Maya Rudolph is one of the voices.
We call that Terminator.
We call it Terminator.
Well, it's a kid version of Terminator, is what I'm saying, but it's a little more of a humorous bit.
I'll be back, buddy.
You don't have a naked Arnold Schwarzenegger coming in from the future, do you?
No.
Yeah. I've got watched the Mitchells versus the Machines.
And also, can we talk about like the Terminator? What year did that come out?
Terminator was 84.
Yeah, so things have changed.
83.
Yeah.
So Mitchell's came out 2021. Yeah.
1 hour 54 minutes.
It's worth your time.
So Paige,
what's it on? Where did you watch it?
Netflix.
Okay. Still on Netflix. Paige brought a Geek of the Week.
Hey, she sure did.
Yeah.
For those of you less geeky, if you want a humorous bent on AI and social media and all that sort of thing.
So are you a Suits fan?
Yes, and I am everybody watching it in the pandemic Suits fan. We didn't watch it on network, but we started watching it before everybody else did. Love Suits.
I watched it on, I think Amazon Prime is when it would come off of USA Network when they had that co-branding deal. Right. And I watched the last 2 seasons on network, via DVR.
Yeah.
So the season 9 of Suits, which has not been on Netflix, this will be my geek. It's coming to Netflix. When is it coming? New season's going to be sometime over the next couple 3 weeks, maybe early July.
We're getting a new season?
So
or is it just the last season?
It's the last season that had only been available on Amazon Prime.
Yes.
And so now it's coming to awesome.
Netflix.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest. It dwindled in the last few seasons when they lost some of the hero characters, as is apt to be.
And then they show up on T-Mobile ads.
Because everybody found him when they got put on Netflix.
Well, they're doing it's not a reboot. It's kind of a reboot of Suits. It's going to take place in the same Suits verse, but on the West Coast, and they'll have some drop-in characters, I'm sure. So
we love a legal drama.
I don't know that they can recatch lightning in a bottle with that. The thing that fascinated me about Suits was the fact that no one seemed to lock their doors. You could just walk into anybody's office at any time, day or night.
That's an accurate portrayal, for sure.
Yeah, there you go. So, all right, we're going to take a break. Then we're going to come back. Paige is going to educate us on chick flicks. All right, so we decided we needed help. So we called in the reinforcements.
Scary but true.
The cavalry's here. We need some chick flick recommendations. But first, Paige, you and I have been talking about discussing A Guy's Guide to Steel Magnolias, which is your favorite movie of all time.
It is my favorite movie of all time because it is the greatest movie of all time, and we are absolutely going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about why. But when we were talking about
we're out of time.
Look, we're going to get it out. Y'all are going to get on my train. But look, we talked about that I was going to share with y'all some other chick flick options that would get you in good with your wives. So we're going to talk about that as well, because let me tell you something. I reached out to my girlfriends. We have those girl group chats, right? And was like, okay, y'all, if you had to recommend to a dude something he could suggest, a movie that they could watch with his wife, that would get him points, what would you say? And the responses were varied, and they were a lot, and it was so many different group chats, and we're going down these memory lanes, and I think that's why movies hold such a special place in our heart, because we all go back to that moment when we watched it for the first time, and it takes us to that place in our life. And
whether it's really the movie or it's the experience.
It's the experience, right? Dazed and Confused will forever and always be the summer before my senior year of high school. We watched it on repeat. All right.
I've never seen Dazed and Confused.
Oh, really?
Oh,
yeah, I need to go back and watch it.
Do you not like Linkletter?
He's okay.
See, I love his storytelling.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do y'all want me to go? Do you want to do the deep dive into Steel Magnolias first?
Let's do the Steel Magnolias in 5 minutes. Why it's the greatest movie, or maybe 10, and then you can give us some suggestions at the end. So, you saw Steel Magnolias in the theater originally, correct?
Actually, so here's a fun fact. I am a little less than a certain age than you folks. So I was in 5th grade in 1989.
So when did it come out? It came out in 89.
In 1989.
Okay.
Came out in 1989. I was in 5th grade, and the first time I saw it was at my paternal grandparents' house in Slaughter, Mississippi. Does anybody know where that is?
Yep, I know where Slaughter is.
Outside of Greenwood in the Delta.
Yep.
And I watched it with my cousins.
In Leland, so I remember with
that's right. I always forget.
Yeah.
So all my cousins and my aunts, we all watched it, and I just fell in love with it from the jump. And probably since 1989, I've watched it an average of twice a year. So y'all do the math.
Wow, really?
Yeah, at least twice a year. Some years more, some years less. So for background, the movie was released in 1989. It stars Julia Roberts, Shirley MacLaine, Dolly Parton, Sally Field, Olympia Dukakis, and Daryl Hannah in the women roles. It's also got Tom Skerritt's in there.
Who was Dallas in Aliens?
That's right.
Alien.
Dylan McDermott. For those legal drama practice fans, right? So there were some men in the film.
But it was also directed by Herbert Ross, who played again Sam, Goodbye Mr. Chips, and Footloose.
Wow.
I did not realize he directed Footloose. So.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Isn't that a fun fact?
Yeah.
So it was originally written as a play. Robert Harling is the playwright, and But can I just go ahead and tell listeners there's going to be spoilers?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Look, I mean, it's past the statute of limitations.
Both you listeners, there's going to be spoilers.
Yeah.
For a 25-year-old movie.
Yeah, that's what.
35-year-old movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, time. Okay, so this is one of the reasons it's my favorite. There is a line from Steel Magnolias appropriate for every situation in life, and here's one for this one. Time marches on, and pretty soon you realize it's marching across your face. So, it was written as a play by Robert Harling, and I love live theater. I'm a drama kid. I'm a theater nerd, and it was written as a play originally. Robert Harling's sister was a diabetic.
I'm reading that.
And she passed away, and he wrote it. It's not autobiographical. It's just he kind of took that inspired by and his mom's friends, and he made it hilarious. And one of the reasons I like it is because I think movies should elicit emotion. They should make you laugh. They should make you cry. They should make you feel joyful. They should make you feel angry. They should make you feel sad and happy. And Steel Magnolias does all that.
So it says here in Wikipedia, and you can believe everything you read.
Everything on Wikipedia.
Yeah. But he originally wrote it as a short story for his nephew, who his nephew's mom passed, his sister, and as a way to kind of cope with the grief.
Right.
And then 10 days later, it turned into a play.
Yeah. It poured out of him, basically.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And so we have actually performed it at the Starkville Community Theater a few times. I mean, it's been
West
performed.
Point's done it too.
Oh yeah. It was a really easy stage.
It's one set, right? Because it all takes place in the beauty shop.
All takes place in the beauty shop.
I prefer the play to the movie, and I didn't know that until I saw the play. But I love the economy of the play because it's only what's necessary. You don't have any of the male characters in there.
No, they're just talked about.
And I love the idea that you're using one set.
No armadillo cake.
They do have the armadillo cake.
They talk about it.
They bring that out.
Okay.
We brought it out during the intermission.
Yeah, I can't remember what SCT did.
But yeah, it's talked about. So it really, I kind of left that. I like that being left to your imagination a little bit more. But anyway,
giant piece of armadillo crimson. There's one thing Mom and I agree on. So the movie is set in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And it's actually in Robert Harling grew up in Natchitoches, not Nacogdoches. That's how they say it in Texas.
Across the border.
Right. And Natchitoches, Louisiana, for those of you that never been, it's a river town. And Robert was really inspired by it. And when the play became successful, and Herbert Ross was not the first director attached to it. I don't remember who was. But when they go to film it, Robert really pushed for the movie to be filmed in Natchitoches to give it that real sense of place. And so all the actors came in for the summer and stayed in homes or whatever, and they filmed right there in Natchitoches. And
the homes used are actually there,
real
right?
homes. So fast forward, for a short time, some of our best friends lived in Natchitoches, and so in the early 2000s we went, and I was like, well, we're gonna go see Shelby's house, and we're gonna go, like, we're doing and the Natchitoches, what we then called Convention and Visitors Bureaus, had this little drive-in map. It wasn't just a little tear off, and so we went around and did it. And then fast forward to when The Help was in Greenwood, also set in small town Mississippi, and a lot of the houses were actual houses that were used.
You did a driving map.
I did a driving map, and the Mississippi Film Office director at the time told me it was the stupidest thing he'd ever heard. Nobody's going to do that, and I said, hide and watch. Because
did he really?
Oh yeah, he thought it was a terrible idea. He was wrong. They're still doing it. You can still go to. You can
we'll
still
talk
go to
about that off my.
Yeah. You can still go to Greenwood and do it. So anyway, that's a sidebar. But I was inspired by that. And what I love about the movie is that there's a line in the film that says, "Laughter through tears is my favorite emotion."
Yeah. That's
and
good.
to me, that is what Steel Magnolias is. But we all know those characters, right? We all know Truvy, the hairdresser, who's like, I don't trust people who do their own hair. It's not normal, right? And there's no such thing as natural beauty. I mean, look at Dolly Parton, who played Truvy. She's a poster child. Shirley MacLaine is such a phenomenal character actress.
Yes.
And the character of Weezer has some of the best one-liners. I mean, I told y'all how many times. I've watched this movie hundreds of times.
And it's a very difficult character because you do not want to like Weezer, and you don't really like Weezer.
You don't like her, but
you like...
There's got to be some humanity there to make her funny.
Yes. So she walks that line very well.
She walks that line very well, but I mean, it's still funny. I bet he's a real gentleman. I bet he takes the dishes out of the sink before he pays in it. I mean, that's just a line that just doesn't come. And then you've got Daryl Hannah playing very off type for her at that time.
Well, I was going to say, how many roles has she had before this?
She'd done Splash.
She'd probably done Blade Runner.
She'd done Blade Runner.
I'm looking.
Let's see what else she'd done. But it was very.
So she had Splash was kind of her
breakout.
Big thing.
Yeah.
Blade Runner, Summer Lovers, The Final Terror, Reckless Splash, The Pope of Greenwich Village, The Clan of the K-Bear.
She'd done way more than I.
So Legal Eagles, Roxanne, Wall Street, High Spirits, Crimes and Misdemeanors. Then in 1989, Steel Magnolias.
Wow. So she'd kind of.
She'd done a lot.
Yeah.
Some of those weren't notable.
No, not at all.
But she played this mousy character.
We've got a Clan of the K-Bear episode coming up, right?
She played this real mousy character who blossoms and has this great character arc. I mean, within a movie, a really sort of C-level character has this great character arc. Then you've got Olympia Dukakis, who is every Southern matriarch we've ever seen. I mean, when
is not in real life.
No,
I mean,
not
she's
even
from Massachusetts.
Right.
Michael Dukakis' cousin.
Yeah.
I have an affinity.
I
have an affinity for non-Southerners pulling off Southern, and she is the go-to textbook of how you do it. She talks with a Southern accent but says her R's.
Yes.
And when she gets out of that car in the first scene you see her in, and she says, "Excuse me, I'm windblown. I've just been to the dedication at the new children's park." You just know that's that Southern woman, right? Yeah. And then you go to Sally Field as a mother of the bride. She's the matriarch. She is the Steel Magnolia. That's the character, right? And of course, Sally Field. I mean, talk about a character actress, right? And then you have Julia Roberts, who was really new on the scene.
That's maybe I'm thinking of her being the new one.
Yeah, she was really new. She'd done Mystic Pizza.
I'm pulling it up.
What else did I know? Mystic Pizza was probably the most notable.
Bit part Clan of the K-Bear, which a lot of people don't realize. No, I'm just kidding.
Firehouse, Satisfaction, Mystic
Satisfaction.
Pizza,
that's what
and Blood Red.
Okay, so this was her kind of breakout.
This was definitely her breakout.
Because the next, as I dropped things, the next two movies she did was Pretty Woman and Flatliners, and then, Sleeping with the Enemy, and that's what pushed her into the stratosphere.
Oh, right,
Woman,
exactly.
Yeah.
But she was nominated for an Oscar for her role as Shelby. Okay, so that's a character to me. Shelby is, sick with diabetes, and she's getting married, and she gets sick, and it could veer on the side of After School Special. It could go real schmaltzy.
Yes,
and I mean, I've seen. Not here, but I've seen a production at a community theater that shall remain nameless that did this production, and it was schmaltzy. It can go cheese real quick, and she just brings such a warmth and a believability to that character. So what I love is the movie starts and it's a wedding. Everybody knows a wedding. We all have memories of weddings, and it's this big wedding, and it's the sanctuary's got pink over everything. We've all met that bride who just had to have everything that way. And you've got the funny scene with the armadillo groom's cake, and then it goes into the female friendships, and it's just talking, and it's they're growing together, and the movie really uses holidays as a way to move the film along. I don't know if y'all have thought about that. And I
had forgotten that, but
it's a good way to move time along in a film. And it was really at the time, in my view, I was in 5th grade, but looking back and knowing films like I do now, it showed female friendship, middle-aged female friendship, not young teenagers, middle-aged female friendship, and the things that you go through. And it brought humanity to it. And I love that it's funny and quotable, and it is a running joke that anybody that knows me knows that for every situation in life, I can pull a quote from Steel Magnolias or the epic television show that was Designing Women.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
Yeah, but for Southerners especially, I'll say this. Y'all both know my husband, and when we got engaged, I told him that he could not marry me until he sat down and watched Steel Magnolias.
Oh, really?
And I meant it. He did.
Oh, good for Andy. Good for Andy.
He took one for the team.
Well, so looking at the what it was nominated for, so Julia Roberts was nominated for Best Supporting Actress at the Academy Awards.
Yes.
Golden Globes.
She won it.
And then Sally Field was nominated for Best Actress.
Olympia Dukakis, was she not nominated?
No, she was not nominated.
Wow.
She was. There was a American Comedy Awards, which I,
Are they even around anymore?
I don't
Probably something they put out for a couple of years.
Yeah.
To compete.
Then People's Choice Awards. Remember when the People's Choice Awards was an
an
actual
thing?
Yeah.
Steel Magnolias won for favorite dramatic motion picture.
So in 5th grade, did you connect to it then, or did you see it then first and then later in life connect to it?
I think that I loved it from the jump because I vividly remember sitting in my grandparents' den and watching it with my aunts and my cousins, and I, even at that age, recognized those characters.
Yeah.
But I think I really connected to it once I got into, high school and college and really, bought the VHS and then the DVD and then the DVD.
Well, speaking of that, so the VHS and DVD sales alone attributed to $40 million of the gross of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
VHS.
Well, that's what I wondered. How did it do on it did pretty well in box office.
Well, overall box office gross was $135 million.
Okay. And this is in what year again? 89?
89.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it did like 90-something million at the box office, then $40 million for home video release, which is unheard of this day.
Well, and you also have to think about 1989 too, right? That's we're going into Blockbuster and we're renting. And my favorite thing to do, speaking of my husband, it drives him nuts. I'm a movie rewatcher.
Yeah,
okay?
so we are too.
So
The
now,
family and the group.
yes, I can love a movie and doesn't fall in the rewatch category. Steel Magnolias is so delightfully rewatchable to me. And so when I was in college and we lived in the sorority house, we didn't have cable in our rooms. I mean, we all had our little TVs with the built-in VCRs. And so I brought my, VHS collection, and Steel Magnolias was one of those. So I watched it on repeat. So that's probably another way, because we would just keep a movie in and, turn it on and keep it going. Because you had to actually go to the TV room and compromise with people and figure out what you wanted to watch.
Well, I'm old enough, being the oldest person in the guys of a certain age.
By
I remember
far.
when the VHS came out, the first guy that had one, it's the size of a trunk.
And it was a top loader.
Top loader.
Yeah.
And they had 2 videos, and nobody else had one in the house. And they would have they would be showing the same video, just rotating, over
and over
So,
again. Yeah, they were huge. I remember my dad had the video camera that you had to
we
put
had
up
that
on your
too.
arm.
Yeah,
So going back to 1989, these are the movies that were released
That's
in
what I was
1989. Roadhouse, Dead Poets Society, Uncle Buck, Field of Dreams, Back to the Future Part 2, Last Crusade, Batman, Major League, The Abyss, Glory, Steel Magnolias, When Harry Met Sally, Do the Right Thing, Little Mermaid, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Say Anything, The Burbs, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Born on the 4th of July, Pet Sematary, Lethal Weapon 2, Parenthood, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I mean, this is
That's
like
a pretty strong
year.
No kidding.
And I
was
skipped
waiting
a
for the
few.
clunkers, and I'm like, even though I don't much care for all, I mean, there's some
They're
that
all-
don't, but
right.
they're all
Well,
solid movies.
So Sex, Lies, and Videotape.
Oh, yeah.
License to Kill, James Bond. UHF from with Weird Al. What
What a
year.
strong year.
Driving Miss Daisy.
Oh, my God.
Another
89.
classic.
Yeah. Look Who's Talking. The War of the Roses. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah,
with Kathleen Turner and
Michael
Michael
Douglas.
Douglas.
Yeah, they're trying to
They're not
recapture the
Romancing the Stone stuff.
vibe.
but
Yeah.
It wasn't as good though. Romancing
No.
the Stone will always be better.
Yeah. But think about that year in movies. That was the year that you would plan to go to the theater on Friday night
Right.
because you knew there was going to be something you wanted to
And
see.
I think I saw most of those in the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, you got out the newspaper to figure out what time
Yeah,
and what
that's
movie
right.
you were
Yeah.
going to go see.
Are called.
Look,
Movie phone.
y'all want to feel old?
Not
Oh,
particularly.
we,
I mean-
we do it every day when
So,
we wake up.
I was explaining to my son, this has been a couple years ago, about how we used to have to watch TV when it came on.
Yes.
And that there was no pause, like you raced to the bathroom at commercial break, and he was fascinated.
Yeah.
It blew
It's
his
just a
mind.
completely different paradigm.
It blew his mind that you
Yeah.
couldn't just watch what you wanted to
Yeah.
watch when you wanted to watch it.
Okay.
And I was like, there you go.
It's a whole different world. So this you great reasons why it's your favorite, and I mean I think it's one of my wife's favorite movies as well.
Do you feel like it holds up?
Yes.
I mean, I know you. I mean, like I said, I know you. It's one of your favorite movies. So sometimes we have favorites. Like I can't. I have a hard time going back and watching the Batman movie from '89.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do not.
No,
Oh,
I look at the hair and some of the stuff, and I go, okay.
We were actually talking about this. Comedy by nature, some of it doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
I mean, things that were once funny are really now like, oh, how did they say that?
Yeah,
there's really not that much cringe in it because it's just women talking. And I think ultimately that's at the end of the day why I love it so much, because it's timeless. And I can sit and watch it and I know what's coming. I can quote the movie from start to finish.
Yeah.
And
what's the luggage line?
I love you more than my luggage.
That's what I thought.
Get your roots done. So, it's so quotable and I know what's coming, but it still makes me laugh and it still makes me cry.
Yeah.
And it's because the writing was impeccable. The casting was impeccable. I think the location, I really think those actors and actresses shooting on location in Louisiana gave them a feel. I know when the help was happening and we were talking to those actors, they really felt like being in Mississippi informed their performance.
I was going to ask if when with your experience with the help, which should be a whole different episode.
Yeah, absolutely should be.
If the locale influenced.
100%. And Tate Taylor, that we talked about earlier, really fought for the movie to be filmed in Mississippi because on paper we weren't the cheapest place to film, right?
Yeah, at that point.
We were competing with Shreveport, but Tate Taylor and Catherine Stockett, who's the author of the book, really fought to have it filmed in Mississippi. And the actors said it really informed them. Allison Janney actually, the actors would go. There's this little street in Greenwood. I don't know what the real name of it is. We called it Cocktail Cove because it was like all these. It was like 5 or 6 retired couples, and they would just like day drink and go back and forth. And Allison Janney and Octavia Spencer and Tate Taylor would go over there and hang out with them, So
I was in Delta Bistro at lunch. I was there for a shoot when Allison Janney walks in.
Yeah.
And who starred? Who was the star of the movie?
Emma Stone, Octavia Spencer.
Emma Stone. And I think Octavia Spencer too. But it was Allison Janney. I was in the middle of my West Wing, first watch through. And I do a double and a triple take. And it's like, no, that can't be. And it was because I'd forgotten that she was in The Help.
And and she's in Palm Royale. She's worked with Tate a lot. They have a real connection, those two. But also I would be remiss to talk about The Help and not mention the dearly departed, my personal favorite, Leslie Jordan. He was the one person that I fangirled out to. Him and Sissy Spacek.
Sissy Spacek.
I mean, she's coal miner's daughter, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
But Leslie Jordan had such a resurgence during COVID.
He really did. He's he brought me joy. He brought so many joy to me.
I remember seeing him first on Murphy Brown. And was he on Designing Women as well?
He was on
Evening Shade?
He was on Reba.
Okay.
He was on Reba and Will and Grace. I don't think he was on Evening Shade. He might have been.
No, he's not. There's it's another character extra.
I'm looking for his television. Fall Guy, Night Court, Murphy Brown, Newhart.
I just remember the first time I ever saw him, Murphy Brown is a saint.
Yes.
Pee-wee's Playhouse?
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of people from Pee-wee's.
A lot of people came through Pee-wee's.
They did.
Phil Hartman.
They did. Lois and Clark. He was on the New Adventures of Superman. So
his character on Will and Grace was originally written to be a woman.
Oh, really?
And his agent sent him his agent sent him and said, "Look, this is written as a woman, but you just go and do you."
Yeah,
and he got it.
And he was a recurring character, right? Yeah,
Beverly Leslie.
Yeah,
he was on Star Trek Voyager as well.
He did a lot of stuff.
He did a ton of
geek cred.
So.
And he gentlemen, is only about rest his soul, is only about an inch and a half taller than I.
Really?
Oh wow!
Okay.
So you could truly look up to him.
Yes.
All right, we're about at time. Give us 2 movies that Art and I, and potentially Jay, would get brownie points for recommending that we watch with our spouses.
Okay. So there's, when we talk romantic comedies or chick flicks or female things, I mean, there's When Harry Met Sally, there's Thelma and Louise, there's Devil Wears Prada. I mean, there's all these sort of ones that you immediately go to. Bridget Jones's Diary.
Sure.
But I wanted to come up, for those of you of my certain age, Shag is a fantastic movie. It's really hard to find on streaming. Girls just want to have fun. I mean, Grease 2, that is very specific to my demographic. We all wanted to be Michelle Pfeiffer.
Well, yeah,
cool
but I mean,
writer.
it's not a good...
It's not. No, it's a campy movie. So there's all these sorts of things. But I went back and forth, and I think what I want y'all to do is I want y'all to experience a couple of female sort of... I guess they would be classified as chick flicks, but I think that they've got enough male component that they would entertain y'all as well.
Okay.
Because we want you to watch more female-generated content, not less. Okay, so my first one is going to be, obviously, still Magnolias. But after that, there's a movie called Crazy Stupid Love. Have y'all seen it?
That's
with
got Steve
Carell, Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone.
Yeah.
That we talked about.
I've probably seen the whole movie in clips, but I haven't watched it.
So suggest that to your wives. It is fantastic. First of all, you get to see Ryan Gosling shirtless as a lady, so that's always a win. But it's got a plot.
You mean as a lady, you get to see him? He's not shirtless as a lady.
No, he's not shirtless as a lady. I get to see him. I messed up that sentence structure. Marissa Tomei has a very underrated, great little supporting moment in this film, and Julianne Moore is fantastic. It's great from top to bottom. It's complete with a little bit of a twist in the middle that you don't see coming. So suggest to your wives Crazy Stupid Love. It's streaming somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got to buy it though. You got to apparently according to justwatch.com.
So Bonnie's not worth $8.95?
Well, it's $3.99 on Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, if you don't want to buy that, this one I know is streaming for free.
Okay.
This film came out, I think, in 2016 or 17. You'll have to check me on that, Robbie. And it didn't really do great at the box office, but it's kind of gained steam in streaming, and it's called Definitely Maybe.
I've seen that one.
Features Ryan
seen
Reynolds.
The title, yeah, but
features Ryan Reynolds, a young Abigail Breslin, Rachel Weisz, Elizabeth Banks, and is it Isla or Isla Fisher? I can't ever say her name. Isla Fisher. And Ryan Reynolds is telling his daughter the story of how he met her mother. And so he's flashing back to the girlfriends he's had, and he says, I'll tell you the story of your mother, but you have to figure out which one she is.
Wow.
So it's a really fun, so it's set, in today, but he's flashing back, and he's working on to the early 90s where he's a campaigner for Bill Clinton's campaign.
Okay.
So there's some topical stuff. Again, you get to see Ryan Reynolds, who is gorgeous.
I love Ryan Reynolds.
He's
I'm in the middle of Wrexham right now. So
okay, so Wrexham, and I get now he's Deadpool, and I figured y'all would relate to
But he's always Ryan Reynolds for whoever it is. He's Ryan. Reynolds.
Go back and watch Van Wilder.
Go back and watch Two Guys, Girl, and a Pizza Place.
Yes.
Yeah.
He basically plays the same guy.
Yeah.
But those are two that I think you would get points with your wives. And lastly, I'm just going to throw this one in as lagniappe. It's a classic. It's right up there with Steel Magnolias. It's fried green tomatoes.
I was going to say, if you don't have fried green tomatoes on your list,
I've got a whole list.
I've got another one.
I thought that was going to have to be the one, because to me, we love fried green tomatoes.
Oh, it's so good. I rewatched it a couple of weeks ago. To me, it's like Steel Magnolias, When Harry Met Sally, fried green tomatoes, Dirty Dancing, y'all.
The original.
That's the original. That's another classic. And for women of my certain age is Girls Just Want to Have Fun with Sarah Jessica Parker and Helen Hunt and Shannon Doherty.
Oh, that's
I don't know that one.
It's very campy. It's 90 minutes. And do y'all remember? This is a real deep cut. Do y'all remember Stealing Home?
Yeah.
Came out in '88 with Mark Harmon and Jodie Foster.
Oh,
I remember.
He's a baseball player.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a deep cut.
So fried green tomatoes is available on Prime Video.
Have you seen Fried Green Tomatoes?
I don't remember if I did.
Oh, Robbie, it's
I think
so
I
good.
It's another one that has incredibly quotable lines in it.
Oh, absolutely.
We say I'm older and have more insurance all the time.
I say I'm too old to be young and too young to be old.
God, that is.
Oh, it's so good.
So we don't have time to go deep into it, but Beaches, is that on your list?
Beaches is on my list. It's if you want to cry, if you want to,
Wind Beneath My Wings. The song that made Wind Beneath My Wings famous. I mean, the movie that made the song famous.
Yep. And also, we forget features a young
Mayim
Bialik. She plays young Bette Midler.
And is incredible in that.
Yeah.
I mean, Barbara Hershey and Bette Midler gave fantastic performances. Yeah. You just can't get past that. We also, The First Wives Club.
Oh.
And I've seen that before. That's Bette Midler, Diane Keaton, and Goldie Hawn, right?
Yeah. Anything with those three.
Yeah.
Anything with those three is great. And my generation, we have to talk about, because she's my current, Reese Witherspoon. You got it. Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah.
That's on almost every girlfriend's list was Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah.
You've got a baby in a bar.
Bonnie loves
Legally Blonde.
Blonde.
Absolutely. That was on my list.
Yeah. Becky and
Yeah. It's It's hard.
And that's a Broadway show now.
It's a Broadway show, and was just announced. Reese just announced last week. Oh wait, I've got a Geek of the Week. Just announced that there's going to be a prequel series, and I cannot remember the network, called, I think Netflix, called Elle, and it's going to focus on Elle growing up.
When is playing her?
I don't know.
What about Miss Congeniality?
Sandra Bullock at her finest.
That's Bonnie's all-time favorite.
Love Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
That's the perfect date.
Describe your perfect
Perfect
date.
date.
Yeah.
April. Oh, I'm going to get it wrong.
Was it April 25th?
I think it's
Yeah.
April
April 25th, and I forget until it comes around every year, and they
And
names.
I will say, our intern before I left said, "You don't have Mean Girls on the list," and I was like, "Oh, such a misstep." Talk about a movie that's really like turned into a Broadway show, and now another movie, and so Tina Fey wrote it.
I love Tina Fey.
I love her.
What did you think about the 2012 remake of Steel Magnolias?
I watched it. It's kind of, to me, I can't get into remakes of movies that are that close to my heart.
Yeah.
Because I'm too tied to the original.
Yeah.
Nothing was going to match up to the original for me.
Yeah.
It's rare that a remake is better.
I don't think it ever happens.
I mean, I can't call it.
I think people would argue The Thing.
Well, yeah,
it's not really a remake. It actually went back to the source material. And I love the original. I love the John Carpenter version.
Yeah.
Most people say that the John Carpenter's version is a better movie.
Yeah.
But I love them both. But John Carpenter went back to the book, so it's not necessarily a remake of the 50s movie.
Well, and I mean, it's just like 9 times out of 10 the book is better, right? So I like to read the book before I see the movie.
Do you?
I do. A lot of people don't. I like to read the book first.
I have breaking geek news. This is interesting. So it dropped like 3 minutes after we started recording the podcast. So Paramount is doing a Star Trek Starfleet Academy series, right?
Okay.
Paul Giamatti has been attached.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine
love him.
Can you imagine Paul Giamatti on Star Trek?
I mean,
yeah. Did you watch The Holdovers, Paige?
No, I haven't.
There's
seen
a
it yet.
movie for you that you need to watch.
Yeah,
That's
you
a really
need to
good
watch
movie.
that.
I want to watch it. It's on my list.
It's a really good movie.
It's kind of a corrupted dead poet society.
Yeah, that's kind of what the vibe
But he's
got me.
great. That's interesting. Maybe if we called it Star Magnolias, we'd
Well, I mean, honestly, when I was talking to girlfriends and stuff about this, really now you kind of have to go to Netflix for new, sort of rom-com chick flick things. They're not
the whole movie industry is so skewed right now.
Yeah, it's changed completely. So, anyway, Holdovers wasn't available for free.
Yeah.
So.
That's always a factor too.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we get this for free? We're paying for every streaming service. Please tell me we can get this for free.
Right.
Free in quotes because it's never free.
Yeah, that's right.
And when I go to the movies now, it's to go with my kid to see kid stuff. Because I want him to experience the movies.
Yeah.
Because there's just something about going.
There is
to the
still
movies.
something about going.
There is
Still something. So, I hope that I have not bored your readers tirelessly with.
Well, they're not
think so.
reading. I mean, they're listening. And,
Did I say readers? I meant listeners. Lord.
Yeah. The
Maybe
6
reading the
people that are now
transcript.
listening.
What happens is you come in this room, and I guess all of the intelligence just seeped out of my brain.
Ooh.
Yeah. I
That
think there's a
happens
lot of evidence to support that.
I think that happens whether we're in or out of the room. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, thank you.
Now we'll have to have you back on.
that was
do.
great.
You were a great
When we
guest.
fired Jay, we should just get Paige.
two guys, a girl, and a podcast.
That's right.
It's actually got a little bit more equity in that name, probably.
All right, Paige. Thank you for joining
Thank
us.
y'all.
That does it for this week. We'll see you next time around.